Smoke, or quit smoking, I should say, or you're fired. That's what a major company threatening to do to its employees who smoke cigarettes. Scott's Miracle-Gro says, quote, "The decision to eliminate smoking in our workforce is about saving lives and reducing health care costs. We can no longer sit back and absorb the double-digit increases in health care costs while we wait for the government or the health care industry to fix the problem." Critics say the threat against employees is illegal. Lou Maltby against the move to fire smokers. He's the president of the National Work Rights Institute. Patrick Reynolds disagrees. He's the founder of the Foundation for a Smoke-Free America. He is also the grandson of the tobacco maker and founder, R.J. Reynolds. Mr. Maltby, I start with you. Why not? We know smokers cost more money. We know they have higher frequencies of health care problems. It is a known expense. Perhaps firing is extreme, but shouldn't they at least pay more because we know that they cost more?
Well, firing really should be off the table. What you do in your own home on your own time is really none of your boss's business.
Unless it's costing my boss money.
Well, that's a more difficult question.
Well, it's pretty black and white. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but you're doing it. I'm paying for it. Therefore, I have an interest in it.
Well, the only problem with charging smokers more for the company health care plan is not that it's inherently unfair. There's nothing inherently unfair about making people take responsibility for their own decisions financially. The question is, where does it stop? If you're going to penalize smokers, are you going to penalize people who use alcohol or junk food or don't go to the gym or practice unsafe sex or ride a motorcycle? Is that really what we want to do?
You bring up an interesting point. Mr. Reynolds, where is that
Sure, let me
line?
jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
Of course. I would largely agree with my colleague that it should be off the table to tell people they can't smoke in the privacy of their own homes. I do believe, however, that smokers should be accountable for their smoking habit. They should pay extra in health insurance costs, and why should the rest of us have to carry them because of that addiction? Now, certainly some smokers are doing something even better. They're offering free counseling for quitting smoking. They're even giving workers a positive bonus on their paycheck if they claim that they're non-smokers.
But
so
here's the thing, Mr. Reynolds, and Mr. Maltby makes a very compelling point. No one questions that smokers cost more, and I think we can all agree it would not be unreasonable to ask them to pay more. But there are a lot of things that employees do that makes them more expensive for health care. They drink too much. They have a bad diet. They don't go to the gym. They practice unsafe sex. They go downhill skiing off trails and break their leg. Why would a smoker be the only one held accountable for their high-risk behavior?
Well, I think there's even a move to hold people with obesity. Some of them are going to be maybe held accountable now. I mean, there is a movement for accountability in the country, and there's some good in it, and there are some casualties. And I think some of these moves to hold the people accountable are going a little too far. Smoking, though, remember this, is the only thing which will cause addiction, disease, and death when done as intended by the manufacturer. And just as the tobacco companies have had to be accountable for targeting kids and claiming that smoking doesn't cause disease, so too smokers really should be accountable as well.
Mr. Maltby, I'm coming back to your original point. If we go down this road of holding smokers accountable, do you then believe that we need to hold everyone accountable for their high-risk behavior, whether it's drinking or downhill skiing?
Well, if the issue is holding people accountable for behavior that's unhealthy and costs their employer money, it would actually be unfair to penalize smokers and not penalize everybody else.
Would you agree to that, Mr. Reynolds? Would you agree to that, Mr. Reynolds?
Well, my area of expertise is smoking, of course. You know, some states do have laws in place, smokers' rights law, that protects the rights of smokers in the workplace. Others do not. And a very high court, not so long ago, for better or worse, found that smoking was not a matter of race, creed, or any other thing protected by the First Amendment or the Constitution. Smoking was not protected by those things, and companies indeed had the right to fire smokers or not hire new workers who smoke. So that's one thing the courts have said. I happen to disagree with that. I think that it's going a little too far to fire smokers when they've worked at a company. Most of them got addicted as children. And, you know, around the country today, there's a huge movement for taking the workplace smoke-free. That makes a lot more sense to me. 10 states now ban smoking in bars and restaurants statewide. 4 more states ban smoking in restaurants. And by 2009, even Marlboro country, Montana, is going to be smoke-free in bars and restaurants statewide. This is an idea whose time has come.
Gentlemen, a pleasure to have you both with us tonight. An interesting debate, to say the least.